Religion. There are several different definitions of the word, which proves that this is a complex concept that cannot so easily be explained. My name is Olivia, and today I will be addressing the question, should or should not religion have a place in the public school system? Right now, I have the privilege of living in Padula, Cyprus, where there are Eastern Orthodox churches all over the place, and they are beautiful. There are three elements of religion that stand out to me based on the many definitions: beliefs, attitudes, and practices. Religion can be personal, systematic, institutional, or all of these at once. With it typically comes passion or powerful emotion, and it can therefore become a dangerous weapon of polarization or even violence. This saddens me because I've had the privilege of experiencing the beauty of religion through art, fellowship, humble thanksgiving, and sacrifice. Now, on to the question, should religion have a place in public schools or not? Today, I'm going to argue that it should, and let me explain why. First of all, I would like to make a clear distinction between education and indoctrination. The Cambridge Dictionary defines indoctrination as repeating a belief or idea to someone until they accept it without criticism. An extreme example of this is what was happening at residential schools. Indigenous children were taught Christianity repeatedly and aggressively until many of them came to accept the religion because it was their only choice. The residential school system demonstrates the problematic nature of indoctrination. Indoctrination should by no means have a place in any educational context, but lessons and information about different religions should. The main reason for my belief in this is because in light of all the religious hate that is going on in our world, I think it is essential to build empathy and understanding and break down religious stereotypes. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. Wow! To paraphrase Arnica Kusisto in her International Handbook for Early Childhood Education and Care, the education of values is inevitable and is either going to recognize, include, and integrate the religions and worldviews of children and their families, or disregard, exclude, and marginalize them. It is also highly unlikely that your classroom will not have kids with a variety of religious backgrounds. And now this is a direct quote. Enabling feelings of belonging to these children of different religions is a preventative factor for marginalization and dropping out, even against furthering societal polarization, radicalization, and extremism. Further, developing children's knowledge and understanding of diversity present in their growing up contexts, also including their literacy on the diversity of religions and worldviews, can be seen as one of the 21st century competencies for global citizenship. Wow, I couldn't have said it better myself, which is why I directly quoted her. Personally, I didn't get any religious education in my public high school, and as a result, I would consider myself super illiterate on most other religions besides my own. As a result of this, I probably have all kinds of incorrect assumptions about other religions embedded in my thinking, even though I consider myself to be an open-minded and respectful member of society. I'm a Protestant Christian, and it wasn't even until this last year that I realized how much I had wrongly assumed about Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, and those are literally stems of my own religion. The alternative to including religious education in schools would be to take the secular humanistic approach. The American Humanist Association's mission statement in the past has been something like this: "We are committed to building an inclusive America, grounded in an embrace of reason, ethics, scientific inquiry, and compassion, rather than religious dogma." Any individual's religion, apart from humanism, was to be rejected. Within this framework, inclusion will only go so far. If someone is not religious, especially in Canada, it would be rather ignorant to assume that no one else is. Therefore, an effort to understand one another better needs to be made. Currently, Quebec is moving rapidly towards secularism in their passing of Bill 21, which is already causing all kinds of problems for religious minorities in the province. So let's say religion does have a place within public schools. What does that place look like? Should religion be infiltrating its way into a science class?
Stand there and say, no, I'm not going to allow you in the science classroom. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you in the science class, you're not doing science. This is not science. Keep it out.
I think I would have to agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson on that one. But a history class? Absolutely. I think that one way we can work towards the deconstruction of our current society's Eurocentric education system is by teaching a broader history that represents stories that are likely tied to religion from all different countries and cultures. At the very least, religion should have a place within a religious studies class, where students are simply educated on a variety of religions that they will very likely encounter as they interact with the diverse community found within Canada. I recognize that executing or facilitating this kind of education may be easier said than done, which leads me to my first question that I have for you to answer on the discussion board. If you consider yourself religious or of religious faith, how would you go about teaching your religion alongside others in an unbiased way that enlightens and encourages critical thinking? Likewise, if you are not religious, how would you go about teaching different religions while avoiding apathy or cynicism? Perhaps I have not yet dove deep enough into the controversy of this topic. Lastly, I would like to briefly touch on the element of spirituality. While I am arguing that information about different religions should be taught in schools, spirituality has less to do with head knowledge and therefore becomes much more complicated to teach. When it comes to spirituality, it's no longer about knowledge or facts or even acquiring empathy for people who think differently than you, because spirituality doesn't have to do with what people think. It has to do with their soul. As a teacher candidate, I have already learned that I'm supposed to educate my students holistically. This means helping to develop them academically, physically, socially, and spiritually. How does one help their student develop spiritually? I read one text that talked about how spiritual education within schools looks like building self-awareness on the inevitable good and bad nature of one's soul. This form of spiritual development didn't seem very specific to me, but maybe that's how it should look within schools. I've seen Indigenous forms of spirituality presented and taught within public schools, which is awesome. But my question is that the only option for spiritual teaching? How does spiritual development look different across different religions and cultures? My thought was maybe that religious clubs or groups should be allowed or even encouraged on campuses. That way, students could have the freedom to grow in their spirituality within the context of their own religion. Of course, schools would have to proceed with this idea cautiously, as it could potentially fester polarization or segregation, which would then undermine my entire point. Question number 2. Should this be something that is left to be developed at home because it is entwined with personal beliefs and faith? Or is it important that it is happening at school? This is my question for you because I am honestly and humbly not sure of the answer and really curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. It was so interesting to dive into this hot topic. I know there is so much more here that could be discussed, but hopefully I was able to shed some light on some different points and help you to think a little bit deeper about some of the implications to do with religious education. Have a great day, and until next time.